Hello guys and welcome back to the 2023-24 SDPN NHL season previews. Next up we have a team that in my opinion is pretty underrated here in the Nashville Predators, a team that made a lot of additions and subtractions this offseason but has the potential to be in the playoff race. But how good is this Preds roster? What could they do this next season? We're going to be answering all those questions all throughout this video, so watch till the end. See what happens next with this Preds team. Now before we get into the preview and predictions, let's first talk about today's sponsor in Sports Interaction. Get in the action and make your bet with Sports Interaction. The MLB season is winding towards a close and a lot of close games here. You can bet before the game or live and in play with all your favorite teams. Head to sportsinteraction.com/SDPN or download that to get started. 19 plus, and please play responsibly. Now, when we look at this Preds roster and how wide open the Central Division is, the Preds, in my opinion, have a chance of making the playoffs. They were just 3 points back last year, and they were pretty underrated in that. They made a lot of offseason additions in both the team as well as the coaching staff that I think could raise them to higher levels. Now, when we look at the additions they made, it was really highlighted by Ryan O'Reilly on the forward group, and even though he is older at 32, I thought what we saw in Toronto, he was really able to prove what he can still bring. 11 points in the regular season and 9 points in the playoffs. Fantastic in both. And I think we'll see a lot more of that 2022 season with Nashville than we'll see with maybe the Blues with 2023. To me, there's still a lot of offense to give, overall game, and just amazing leadership. And I think for Nashville, he's a really interesting bet as a first-line center. You also got Gustav Nyquist, who they signed in free agency, who's also on the older side of things, turning 34 this September. But when he was brought back from injury from Minnesota, he was fantastic. And I think can still produce at a solid rate. Even if he's not going to blow you away, around 40 to 50 points might be there. You also got Denis Gurianov, who they got and who was recently with the Stars and then traded to the Montreal Canadiens. We'll see if he's actually able to bring anything in Nashville, bring any offense there. He was okay with Montreal, not good enough to justify bringing back, but we'll see if that's different with the Preds. And then on the defensive edition, you got Luke Schenn, who is also on the older side of things, turning 34 this November. But like we saw with Ryan O'Reilly with Toronto, he was great there defensively, knew exactly what he needed to be, and was one of the most competent players throughout the entire second half. In Nashville, we'll see if he's able to stay consistent in the regular season because, again, getting there to the playoffs is the most important thing. But if they do make it, he'll be a big part of that playoff team for sure. Then we go on to the subtractions they made, and a lot of it on the center situation with Matt Duchene being the big one. He, of course, bought out, and with the production, it's really interesting to see after an 86-point season and a 56-point season. It definitely makes that offense a little bit worse, but we'll see how much the culture changes because of that. Same thing with Ryan Johansson, who's not in as old of a situation as a Ryan O'Reilly, perhaps, but still 31, and he's a player that was a lot more justifiable in the buyout, for sure. 28 points, 55 games. He goes to the Colorado Avalanche, but when you compare Johansson to Ryan O'Reilly, it's an absolute win having Ryan O'Reilly. Losing Duchene and Johansson definitely does hurt their center core, but I don't think as much as people really think. Then you go on to Cal Foote, who they lost in the defense. Younger D, didn't really do much though in Nashville when he was acquired. He was fine there, but wasn't really absolutely exploding or anything. Not a huge loss for them. But now let's head to the 3 players to watch for this Preds roster, and to me, there is so many interesting stories in this next year. The first player to watch, though, for me is Luke Evangelista. Drafted 42nd overall back in 2020. He has progressed unbelievably well since then, and dominated the AHL this last season, in the regular season and the playoffs. When he stepped into the NHL, was brilliant. In 24 games, got 7 goals, 8 assists for 15 points. You got to get on the Evangelista hype train, man, because you better get on it before it's too late. The guy has been dominant in juniors, at the North American game. He could likely get a second-line spot this next year and could be one of the more underrated Calder candidates. On to my second player to watch, and a player that was so underrated all throughout the year last season. I got Tommy Novak, who has burst onto the scene for the Preds as a top 6 centerman. Last year in the NHL, got 43 points in 51 games after having 7 in 27 games the year before. Absolutely went crazy. And the efficiency, the maturity already with his game, to me, I think will translate well. He might not have as good production next year in an 82-game season, but I think pretty close to it. Around 50 to 60 points, I think you could absolutely see that out of him. In an offensive role, Novak was fantastic, and those smarts are going to translate all throughout the rest of his career, and are going to be huge for the Preds this next year, too. On to my third player to watch here, and another younger player here on the defense, though. I got Dante Fabro, who was drafted 17th overall by the Preds back in the 2016 NHL draft. It's been a long time since then, and he's turning 26 this next June, but he's a player that has developed solidly for the Preds. No, not at the amazing level that they maybe would have wanted. Still though, this last year, 11 points in 79 games, and has really improved his defensive game into becoming one of the better defensive D on the team. To me, improving that, getting to an elite level this next year could be a possibility, while also raising that offense will be huge. If he's around 30 points and providing amazing defense, that makes that Preds defense so much better. But now let's go through and grade the forwards, defense, and goaltending here, and let's start out with the forward group, which in my opinion is really underrated. First things first, you got Filip Forsberg, hopefully fully healthy for an entire season. That is huge. You, of course, on that middle six have so many younger players like Novak, Evangelista, Glass, Parson, and Tomasino that will be making big moves this next year. Nyquist and Ryan O'Reilly, when healthy, can still be great offensive producers, and that forward group overall has some really interesting options. It's not going to be elite, and there isn't many superstars league besides maybe Filip Forsberg, but a lot of solid players here that'll mix in well. I give it a straight B. Now going on to the defense, and this might be the most questionable part of the roster because besides Roman Josi, there isn't a whole lot there. At least in the regular season, players like Luke Schenn and Ryan McDonough might not be at their best. In the playoffs, though, they will absolutely step up. But I don't exactly love players like Jeremy Lauzon. I mean, Dante Fabro has produced solidly as a defensive guy. Tyson Barrie could be interesting in an offensive role. The defense overall, besides Roman Josi, is quite bad, though. I give them a C+. Josi definitely makes it a lot better, but it is definitely the weakness here. But thankfully, the goaltending more than makes up for it here with Jussi Saros and Kevin Lankinen as the tandem. And to me, this is one of the best tandems in the NHL heading into next season. Saros was one of the best goaltenders last year, definitely one of the most valuable, and Lankinen was great in a backup role, even if he didn't really play that much. This goaltending tandem, though, has shown elite results in Nashville systems, and I think they deserve an A+. One of, if not the best tandem out there right now. But that goaltending is going to be a strength, but to me, my biggest question mark will be, how much does Andrew Brunette help improve this roster? Of course, they got rid of Hines and bring in Brunette as their full-time head coach, which is a brilliant hire. Again, they were 3 points out of a playoff spot with John Hines as their coach. With Brunette, who was amazing in Florida as their head coach, amazing in New Jersey as an assistant, to me, there is no doubt he will improve this team. And that is one of the biggest strengths heading into next season. With hopefully defensive systems that are a little bit better, an offense that has all the room to grow, Nashville is looking really, really interesting right now. And to me, I would not be surprised if they make the playoffs. Sure, Duchesne and Johansson are big losses for them, but I think they've really recouped that in younger players getting better. Ryan O'Reilly and Gustav Nyquist hopefully being healthy. Maybe we see that defense turn a page too. I say the Preds are right in the thick of it in the playoff race. I see them getting 92 to 96 points on the year, potentially making the playoffs, getting 4th in the Central Division, and being right up there. If they don't make the playoffs, they might be the best team to not. But let us know in the comments down below, is this Preds team a playoff team? Can they actually reach that in the Central Division? What are your predictions for this Nashville roster heading into next season? Let us know all your thoughts. Of course, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell if you haven't already for all the season previews, 32 teams in 32 days, and you won't want to miss a thing. Of course, make sure you share the video with all the hockey fans, all the Preds fans you guys know online, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a great day, drink some water, and goodbye.